right, so let's go ahead and talk about this. I didn't want to talk about this because it's so stupid, it's so incredibly dumb, but apparently this is going to be the thing that we're going to talk about. 6 people, 3 children were killed at a Christian school by a transgenderist. Another transgenderist shooter was planning a massacre targeting both a middle school and churches. The government, the White House, immediately jumped in and basically praised the shooter and the community to which the shooter belonged, talking about how fierce they were and how they were going to fight back. The media immediately jumped in and said, oh, yeah, we support not the dead children, not the community in Nashville where they were shot, not the Christian community that was clearly targeted as a hate crime. Not once, but apparently multiple times, because there's another shooter who got caught, and if they hadn't, there would have been a second massacre specifically targeting Christians by a transgender shooter. But we're going to support not the Christians, the transgenderists, okay? And the only thing that the right can hold accountable in all of this, it's not the White House, it's not Joe Biden's ridiculous speech about how transgender kids are shaping the soul of our nation. It's not the insane rhetoric that came out of the White House spokesman. It's not the insane way that the media was able to jump in and defend all of this stuff. It's not Madonna going to Nashville and pledging a concert in Nashville to raise money for the LGBTQ community, not Christians who were just slaughtered. No, none of that's going to get held accountable. What are we going to get held accountable? Bud Light. Why? Why not? Now, don't get me wrong. Bud Light is gross, right? It's not just gross as a beer. It's gross what they did, right? They plastered a transgenderist pretending, mugging, mocking femininity on the side of their cans. You might say, Auron, why don't you have that person on the side on your picture here? Why do you have these rainbow cans? Well, twofold. One, I'm sick of looking at this stuff. Okay, I don't want to see this anymore. I'm tired of it. Okay, this is ridiculous. It's gross. It's ugly. I don't want it in front of my face at this point. Okay, but on top of that, we should remember this is not the first time that Bud Light has done this. Now, obviously, the context here is a little different, but Bud Light has been woke for a long time. Okay, there's nothing new here. There's nothing different. It's just the intensity of it. They were just willing to take it to the next level and push forward with it, even though children had just been killed in the name of this ideology, even though the media and the White House were mocking dead children and their parents and the other staff members and volunteers and people who were killed at a school, even though another school and multiple churches were about to be targeted by another transgender shooter. Continue to push forward with this stuff, right? And finally, I guess, conservatives decided to do something. So I guess credit to the right for once, something happened, right? Something stupid, probably the worst possible point of pushback, but something happened, right? A corporation that ignored all of these travesties and all of this violence was in some way punished because Kid Rock and other celebrities pushed back, country music stars, people started not buying the beer, they started advertising boycotts, and good, good. Don't buy this swill. Don't buy this stuff from these people. But of course, Bud Light comes out, or Budweiser, whatever, and they put out some statement saying, well, we're for everybody. We're everybody's beer. And conservatives start celebrating. This is a victory. No, it's not. This is not a victory. This isn't even close to victory. This isn't even a very basic step forward, okay? The statement put out by Budweiser had no apology in it. It had no recognition of why what they did was in bad taste. It had no recognition of why them doubling down on wokeness in the wake of children murdered due to woke ideology and the hatred that it engenders. They had no acknowledgement of any of that in their statement. Their statement was just, we're for everybody. We're everybody's beer. Well, no, you're not. Like, you're very clearly motivated by wokeness. We understand this. We understand that your leaders inside the company were pushing this agenda. And we're going to get back to this. We're going to get back to good old American values and beer. Again, no, they're not, because they weren't before. And they're going to continue doing what they're doing anyway. So their statement is a non-statement. It's a non-apology. And it's the kind of stuff that the right falls for all the time. Oh, look, some company made a very, 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 very slight head fake towards some type of contrition on an issue. Guess we won, pack it up, go home. No, you didn't. You got nothing, okay? Not only because the statement is empty and doesn't even have an apology in it. So you're just a goof. You're just a rube staring at this kind of statement and saying, "Oh, this is a victory for me." No, it's an empty gesture that doesn't even apologize or acknowledge what was done wrong. It's just a slight head fake to say, "Hey, we really need Red America to keep buying our beer," right? But even if it was a statement of deep contrition, even if it did directly acknowledge that children were murdered and that they were murdered because of beliefs surrounding this ideology that the beer company is now promoting. Even if that was the case, even if they directly came out and say, we support the victims and their families, and we understand why it was such an horrific bad taste to go forward with this marketing campaign in the face of this tragedy, even if they did all that and said it explicitly, that's still not a victory, because that's not what victory looks like, okay? The right needs to understand what victory looks like in a culture war scenario. What does a victory look like? It's not a statement. Statements are easy. Statements are cheap. They're hollow. What does victory look like? Victory looks like what the left gets. Victory looks like your friends are hired and your enemies are fired. You can't tell a company to do that. Yes, I can. Left does it all the time, and they do it successfully, and they win. When the left wins on a cultural issue, when they force a company to heal, all the people who disagree with them get fired from that company, and all of their friends get hired. Because the left understands patronage. They understand benefiting. They understand that activists don't work for free. They understand that if you want people to know you mean business, then things change when you win. It's not an empty piece of paper somewhere. It's not some statement on a website that disappears and vanishes a moment later and everything goes right back to the way it was. Meaningful change happens. And you're not going to get meaningful social change out of Budweiser. But if you're going to fight this fight, if this is the one we're going to go for, if this is the one that you're going to win, then do something meaningful. Your enemies get fired. Your friends get hired. Money gets donated to your patronage network. What does that mean? That means scholarships are founded in the name of the families who were targeted by this. Or it means that relief funds are set up for them. It means that money is donated to the school that was targeted. It means that people who were attacked are taken care of in the way they should have been taken care of in the first place, instead of having fundraisers for the community that is putting out this ideology in the first place. Friends hired, enemies fired, money in the patronage network. And then what corporations do, they put people through re-education, because that's what corporations do. If you're in a corporation, you know that's true right now, because you have to undergo re-education all the time. You have to sit down for all these HR seminars where you learn about the evils of racism and your whiteness and sexual harassment and not using the right pronouns and all of this stuff. Why do you do that? Because those groups have successfully sued your company. That's why. Because they've successfully destroyed your company in public. That's why. Why do you have to sit through that re-education? Because the groups that are wielding power forced the company to bend the knee. That's what victory looks like. Victory is so total that the company is forced to teach your ideology to its employees to make sure they never cross you again. That's what victory looks like. Bud Light is a stupid target. It is the most ridiculous thing to come out of everything that has happened. And I think it probably distracts everyone from the true tragedy, the true victims, and the true danger of what's happening right now. But if you're going to fight this fight, at least know what victory looks like. Victory looks like what the left gets. Victory looks like your friends are hired, your enemies are fired, money goes to your patronage network, and the corporation makes sure that none of their employees ever crosses the line with your group again. How do we make that happen? That's a lot harder. That takes a lot more than the right has right now. It takes a sustained will. It takes an activist class. It takes the willingness to get out there with lawsuits and all kinds of other things that the right is just simply not equipped to do at the moment. So maybe you don't have the infrastructure to take it to that level with Budweiser right now, but you absolutely need to build it. If you want victories, this is what it looks like. Make it happen.